This is like take 4. But yes, the problem with libertarianism nowadays is that it seems to be just a matter of economics. There's not enough emphasis on fighting social hierarchies, fighting things in the culture which go against liberty. I think libertarianism should really be just about maximizing free action and maximizing liberty, i.e. making society as voluntary as possible, and fighting against things which are anti-that. Of course, this could be, it is ambiguous, because that leads to, you have libertarian progressives, or progressive libertarians, who believe that the best way to increase liberty is for there be progressive economics and regulation of banks and businesses and such, all the way to Peter Schiff laissez-faire capitalists type libertarians who believe the best way to maximize free action and voluntariness is laissez-faire economics and stuff like that. But my main point is that we should go beyond economics for libertarianism. If you really want to increase liberty, if you really want libertarianism, you should also fight against sexism, racism, and homophobia. All of these things are, for the most part, based on pseudoscience, and they create unjust hierarchies and limit free action. So, for instance, nationalism is also bad, and especially in terms of xenophobia. Like, if your nationalism is just sort of, I like my group, that's not really so bad. It's more of a, I like my group, and all other groups suck. That's when things get a little hairy. So what do I mean by these kinds of things getting in the way of liberty? I'm talking about situations in which, like, gay people are not allowed to marry. So that's a government thing, a political thing. That, of course, reduces liberty. And I think all libertarians are for legalizing gay marriage. But I'm also referring to social things, too, like how gay people will be ostracized in small towns, or they'll be ostracized in very conservative communities. There'll be people that will not be friends with them. They'll have their life very limited from the homophobia. So I think libertarians should not just focus on legalizing gay marriage when it comes to homophobia, but actively fighting against it on a cultural war type level, i.e. making videos against homophobia, Facebook posts against homophobia, talking to people about how homophobia sucks and is bad. Because homophobia, beyond the political, upsets free action by it causing people to unjustly ostracize people on a very silly basis. Oh, by the way, I suppose this might also be why many libertarians are also very anti-organized religion, because organized religion on a cultural level also has a habit of promoting things like homophobia, which of course, culturally speaking, is very anti-libertarian, very much limits free action. And I think it's also the same when it comes to like racism and sexism. If a woman is being culturally subordinated, or culturally seen as you can't be a doctor, like being pressured to not do male things, like being a doctor or a lawyer, well, that's limiting her free action. That's limiting her ability to live her life the way she wants. So I think libertarians should really fight against sexism, because it's very anti-libertarian, very anti-liberty on a cultural level for there to be this kind of sexism. And also towards males too. It should be okay for a male to be a nurse. We should fight against sexism, which says that men can't be nurses. The idea that men can't be nurses is a form of sexism which limits the freedom and free action of men. And that's why I do think... I'll do a video on that topic later. I don't want to get into it now, but yeah, basically, libertarians should seep into the culture war and fight against anything which is anti-liberty. So I think they have enough to fight on the right and the left too. On the right, they can fight against homophobia, sexism, and they can fight against the racism of the extreme right. And on the left, they can fight against extreme PC-ness. They can fight against radical feminists who say that violent video games are evil without enough evidence. Because pressuring people to not do something on the basis of pseudoscience does kind of hurt their liberty, I think. Hurt their free action, especially if it becomes law. Radical feminists have a lot of things which are very anti being able to do whatever you want. I think you should be able to do whatever you want. That's liberty. That's freedom. You should be able to do whatever the hell you want, so long as you don't get in the way of other people's pursuit of whatever the hell they want. Now, of course, you can criticize what people do. You should be able to become fat if you want, but I should be able to say, hey, if you become 350 pounds, you might die. That's not very healthy. So just because I believe you can do whatever you want, as long as you don't get in any other person's way of doing that, doesn't mean I think you're above criticism or reproach. But yeah. So yeah, the left does that too. Or the left really harps on this whole hate speech business. The thing is that freedom of speech should be absolute. So this whole you shouldn't be allowed to say certain things business gets in the way of free action. So I should be able to say, hey, you shouldn't. What you said there was wrong and bad and stupid. But it's totally wrong and anti-libertarian for me to say, hey, what you did there was totally wrong and stupid, and I'm going to kick you out of this area for saying it. I'm going to kick you off my website. I'm going to make a law, and if you say it, you're going to jail. Like that's just totalitarian BS, in my opinion. So there's things on the right which culturally hurts freedom, and things on the left that hurt freedom and liberty, and we should fight both. So that's mainly the right is kind of sexist, homophobic, religious right kind of stuff, or they ostracize atheists, which very much hurts freedom. So we should culturally fight against that, and we should also culturally fight against radical feminist, anti-porn, anti-words they don't like, radical PC, the radical PC stuff over here, which interferes with liberty, I think. So yeah, maybe we should come up with that too. We should come up with the idea of cultural libertarianism. Not just cultural conservatism or cultural liberalism, but cultural libertarianism. The idea that culture should be about expressing yourself however you want, doing whatever you want, so long as you don't get into anyone's way. And of course, being able to criticize people, being able to say, hey, you shouldn't do this. That criticizing part is how we do the fight. Because you might say, well, if I can do whatever I want, then I'm going to just be a homophobe and be all homophobic and just say whatever I want. Because I can do that, right? Because of libertarianism. I can say, you're gay, you suck. Well, yes, in cultural libertarianism, you can do that because you can do whatever you want. But that criticizing part is very important, because I can still argue against that, saying, hey, that's pretty messed up, that pseudoscientific nonsense you're doing there. Because the actual sentiment of homophobia is not culturally libertarian at all, and still should be fought against. Just not with law, but with culture. Not with threats, but intelligence. Not in the method of Andrea Richards, who's a woman who took a picture of someone who was saying a bad joke and got the man fired and then acted like a hero for it. No, that's bad. You shouldn't, just because someone says something stupid doesn't mean you should try to get them fired. You should engage them intellectually, not with threats, not with bullying, but with reason. Reason should be your guide in everything. And I think that should be the goal, or the view of cultural libertarianism. We should make cultural libertarianism a thing. Fight against the hierarchies, fight against pseudoscience, fight against everything which gets in the way of free action and our ability to live our lives our own way. That's all.